Torah guardian, speaking the absolute truth. Torah nation.
Shalom, 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 Yashar'el and Yahudah, grafted in Gentiles into the body of Mashiach. We the people of the book broadcast is going down. Call to cry loud and to spare not. Lift up my voice like a trumpet in Zion to warn Yashar'el and Yahudah. Listening to none other than a creation of the Torah of truth, yours truly, and AI. We at war. We ain't retreating. Abba Yahuah, in the name of Yahushua Mashiach, I say Todah, 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 Rabbah. For we are your people. We are your weapons of war. Abba Yahuah, we have a fight that we have to wage. We understand that you are our source. We know that the weapons of our warfare aren't carnal, but they're mighty through Yahuwah to the pulling down of strongholds. Abba, we thank you. We pray that you would take the reins of my lips, the reins of my tongue, and raise that I declare a Torah, a Besorah in righteousness that calls demons and devils to flee, that causes those that you have chosen to hear a word, to bring them to repentance, to turn, to be established as sons, empowered by your Ruach HaKodesh to wage a good warfare for the advancement of your kingdom. Abba Yahuah, we praise you, we magnify your holy name. We thank you, Yahuwah. We magnify Yahuwah. We glorify you, Yahuwah. Abba, we bind demons and devils. We come against principalities and powers. We bind rulers in high places. We exercise our authority in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Abba, we pray that according to your word, you said that you've given us the keys to the Shamayim, and whatever we bind on earth is bound in heaven, and whatever we loose on earth is loosed in heaven. Abba, we are here to war a good warfare. Abba, the kingdom is at stake. Your children, your people, those that you have chosen from amongst the other nation, Abba, we are going to war to bring in the kingdom. Abba, we praise you right now. We magnify you right now. Demons and devils, take your hands off the people that Yahuwah has chosen. Loose your hold over their minds, over their thoughts, over their emotions. You cannot have them. You can't hold them. You can't run roughshod over them. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, we at war. And Yahuwah has given us authority to bruise your head, to be a demonstration of Yahushua HaMashiach in the earth. Abba, we recognize that one will put 1,000 to flight, two will put 10,000 to flight. Abba, we at war. And in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, we thank you. We identify that we are your children. We are soldiers, your instruments of war. And we declare the victory over the nation of Yashar'el, the victory over those that you have chosen, victory over the remnant. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, I let the words of my mouth, the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. Yahuwah, our strength and our redeemer. Listen, I'm going to play this again. I'm going to play this again. Right? The song is entitled, We at War. Right?
like a spark. Warfare is my canvas, painting light out the dark. Casting down lies, every false imagination. Torah on my chest, Lord, heavy proclamation. We at war, every day that we breathe. Building fortresses, tearing down the sea. Power in the truth, let your weapons unsheathed.
We at war.
Don't retreat, we at war.
Soldiers, we don't retreat. Tearing down the sea.
We at war. Don't retreat. Clenched fists, grit teeth, marching boots hit the ground. Chains broke centuries deep, yet the echoes still resound. The weapons mine and carnal, they divine artillery. Face shields me up, cutting schemes from the enemy. Power in my steps, shadow demons been shook. Scriptures, the ammo, life lessons, the hook. Warring for the weak, strength born in reflection. The surface, the wisdom, truth, resurrection. Game face on, battlefield mapped out, vivid. Every fall a step closer, no limit. Relentless spirit lines drilled deep, the strategy's flawless. Brothers in alignment like armies, effortless. We at war, every day that we breathe. Building fortresses, tearing down the sea. Power in the truth.
Tearing down the sea.
We at war, soldier.
These lies that they told us.
Every day that we breathe, building fortresses.
Catamites.
Tearing down the sea.
Insanity. Christian insanity. We at war.
Don't retreat.
We ain't retreating either. Them bruised. We going in. We going in. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Listen, man of Yah, woman of Yah, right? I praise Yahudah for the witness, right? The Ruach HaKodesh, the water and the blood. Understand, right? I understand the weapons of our warfare, right? I understand as a nation, as a people, Yahudah has called us to defend the interest of the nation, right? Yahudah has never called us to serve these devils and their agendas, right? But they have convinced us in this power to assimilate into their way of doing and thinking, and they have drawn us into their battlefields and put us on their front lines and expected us to fail, but we still rose. Right? Yahuwah's never called us to defend the nation or defend these wicked nations. He's only called us to defend Yashar'el and Yahudah, the land of Canaan, the land that we have been given. He has called us to serve a nation of people and to work in our best interest as a nation. Right? Not in the lands of our captivities. Not in these lands. These lands don't belong to us. These are not ours. These are not ours. Listen. You can serve these wicked nations if you want to. Right? You could be their god of fire. You could be that fire. You could be that people that they push to the front to absorb all the fire and the murder and the killing, right? And then they bring themselves in after you. Devils. Listen, you can be that if you want to, right? But not me. I'm a lion's whelp. I am called to serve the interest of the nation. Yahuwah has told me to warn you. He's given me the responsibility to be the guardian of the Torah, to defend the interest of the nation. I have protected people. I have laid my life down for people. Right? But I am now, henceforth and forevermore, laying down my life for the nation of Yashar'el and Yahudah. And everyone that is in this witness serving Yahuah through faith in Hamashiach Yahusha, I am here to defend your interest. I'm here to go to war. Listen. We are at war. Born again of the water and the Ruach HaKodesh. We at war. Right? Some of us will lose our lives in this battle, serving the kingdom of Yahuah through faith in the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach. I'm not talking about dying in this wicked nation because of our sins. I'm not talking about that. I ain't even talking about that kind of war. I ain't talking about a civil rights war. What? In the nations that are in the lands of our captivity, I ain't talking about that. Listen, I ain't talking about that. Right? I'm talking about serving Yahuah in the land that he has given to us, a nation, the land of Canaan. Listen. You gotta understand this, man, if y'all want to, y'all. You gotta understand this. See, Yashar'el and Yahudah, there's a legacy here, right? This Torah, this Besorah that everyone has stolen and fabricated and assumed and made changes and amendments and taken from it and made it theirs, right? Theirs is garbage. Ours is a legacy. It's garbage. Ours is a legacy. It's a historical document of events that were pertaining to a people. A people that were Yahuwah's. A chosen people. A royal people. A holy Kodesh nation. A set-apart people from the entire world. Right? Specifically of Avraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, whose name was changed to Yashar'el. We are a people that are called by his name. We are a people that are under a covenant. We are a people that have been given instructions. We are a people that are called to defend the interest of our nation. Who wouldn't care about what these Gentiles are doing? He wanted you, Yashar'el, you, Yahudah, to wage a righteous warfare in obedience to Torah. He wanted you to be a righteous example in the Eretz. He gave you his Torah. He brought you into the land of Canaan. He fought for you. He fought for these wicked nations. He ain't fought for them. And you ain't got no business fighting for them. These are things that, it's interesting now, because I have a revelation of who I am in this witness and a revelation of what Yahuwah is really called the nation to do and to be. A set-apart nation. Right? Set-apart nation. They convinced us that we were to go to war to fight for the interest and the freedom of this nation. Right? They sent us off to war. They put us in war situations, right? Just Negroes. Put us in the thick of battles. Fought for them. Came back after fighting for the so-called democracy. Lynched. Hung from trees. We in war. We are at war. Right? But the weapons of our warfare are carnal. But they're mighty through Yahuah to the pulling down of strongholds. And in having established this righteous power through obedience in Torah and having received the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach, our demonstration is righteous. Right? We can wield the sword in righteousness to defend the nation of Yashar'el. Listen. Make no mistake about it, right? There is a warfare that's waged in this witness that is directed specifically at you by demons and devils, right? To assault your soul, your mind, to bring you into a place of unbelief and a place of doubt, right? To render you powerless. There is an effort, an all-out assault against the body of Hamashiach Yahushua. Against those who are born again of the water and the Ruach HaKodesh. You have to be prepared to wage a good warfare. You gotta understand what that is. You gotta understand what that looks like. It's a spiritual warfare. But it all began because of an obedience to a Torah that by Yahuwah's demonstration, he witnessed the destruction of our enemies to bring us into our land. Canaan. Not the United States. Not the lands that we've been scattered. Right? Not these nations that we have assumed their diabolical wickedness. Right? He has called us to be a righteous, set apart army. We came out of Mitzrayim, an army. He delivered us as an army. He had to get the army in shape. Because, you had a lot of people that were soldiers that had to die off because they didn't believe in the ability of Yahuwah to deliver them. Right. So, they didn't even get over into the land that Yahuwah had promised the nation because they didn't believe. They didn't believe so much so that there were times when they said, look, we should have go back. Why did you bring us out here when we had meat pots? Now we gotta eat this angel's food, this manna. We were meat. Complained. Didn't believe Yahuwah. Right? Yahuwah had to get rid of those that didn't want to believe and trust in his Torah. Right? So, we've been scattered to these lands, these nations. Right? These whole events that occurred from Genesis that's going to go to Revelation is designed to weed out the unrighteous. Yahuwah is building a nation of righteous people who are going to inherit an eternal heaven and an eternal earth. But now we in the fray. We in the fight. We got to be prepared to fight. Matter of fact, listen. Yahudah. Yeah, we Yahudah. I don't care what anybody thinks. Yahudah was taken and we were brought here. We know that we're Yahudah. They know that we're Yahudah, right? They know, right? It says here, we're in Jasher, the 56th chapter, the 7th verse, right? Jasher, the 56th chapter, the 7th verse. And on the next day, Jacob again called for his sons. And they all assembled and came to him and sat before him. Right? Sons. 12 tribes, the progenitors. All 12 of them, right? And Yaakov on that day blessed his sons before his death. Right? Each man did he bless according to his blessing. Behold, it is written in the Cepher of the Torah of Yahuah, appertaining to Yashar'el. It's written in the Torah of Yahuah, pertaining to Yashar'el. Now this is what he says to Yahudah. And Yaakov said unto Yahudah, I know, my son, that thou art mighty. See, I know you bruise. See, because we them bruise. You know, I can't think it. Not them, but them. We them bruise. Yeah, we them bruise. We tribal. Right? Right, he says here, and Yaakov said unto Yahudah, I know, my son, that thou art a mighty man for your brethren. God, guardian. Right. Yahudah gave me my name. It was Yahudah. It was Yahudah. It was Yaakov Yahudah. Right? And then as I moved forward in ministry, he revealed to me and said to me, now you are Yaakov Yahudah Gaal. You are to guard my Shabbat. Your demonstration is a righteous to protect your people and your nation. Called his sons, said to Yaakov, right? You are a mighty man for your brethren, reign over them, not run roughshod, right? But provide the leadership that is necessary in order to lead by strength. He said, listen. He said, for you are a mighty man for your brother. See, all I got to do is read back through Jasher the events of which the brothers had to fight and the feats of each one. Right? He says, reign over them, and your sons shall reign over their sons. It's prophetic. Because, you know, David was the king that established the leadership over the nation, right, until Hamashiach and after Hamashiach. Because Hamashiach is king. Now, there was kings that in between that was wicked. You know, Herod was Edomite. He wasn't even of the lineage, but you know, they were all, there was times when, you know, the nations had kings that were puppet kings. Right. Yeah. Whoever the government decided was going to be the king, they was going to be. It had nothing to do with the children of Yahudah. And Herod was not a child of Yahudah. He said here, only, listen, this is what I want you to do though, only teach your sons the bow and the weapons of war. Teach your sons how to use the bow and the weapons of war, because you know, this is the time and the seasons that we're going to be in up until the fulfillment of Hamashiach Yahusha and his return, right? His return to establish his kingdom in the earth. Until then, Yahudah, right? to that Yahudah, right? Teach your sons the bow and all the weapons of war. See, we done got into a nation, right? Got into a nation that has almost subjugated us to the point where, they established laws that would keep us from keeping weapons. Right? But Yahuwah has a way of shifting things in order to give you a time to be prepared. And in this time of preparation, you need to be able to teach your children the use of the bow, the weapons of war. Because the word ain't changed. The word ain't changed. The word ain't changed. Somebody said, Yahushua told Peter to put up his sword, for he that lives by the sword shall die by the sword. He told Peter to put up his sword because Peter, right, moved out of emotion and desire, and his intention, though he did not know it, was to interfere with the plan and the purpose of Yahuwah. It ain't time for that. That time is that time ain't that time. Right? It's not that time. Right? It's not that time. Oh. Excuse me. My light is acting funny. It's not that time. Right? But he instructed the nation, specifically the tribe of Yahudah, to be the responsible individuals to hold down the nation when it comes to being mighty rulers and protectors. He said, teach your children, teach your sons the weapons, teach them all the weapons of war, in order that they may fight the battles of their brother who will rule over their enemies. See, Yahudah, you are a force to be reckoned with. First and foremost, because you serve Yahuwah, right? First and foremost, because you serve Yahuwah. We at war, right? We at war, right? Right? But you said the weapons of our warfare aren't carnal. They're not. They're mighty through Yahuwah to the pulling down of strongholds. The warfare that Hasatan is waging, that is specifically designed to bring you out of relationship with Yahuwah, that is a spiritual warfare. That's a battle you got to fight in the Ruach. You got to take authority over that Ruach. You got to engage in battle with that Ruach. You got to have a Torah in your mouth. You have to have his Ruach HaKodesh in you. And you got to fast. You got to pray. You got to turn your plate down. You got to do those things in order to be able to stand in the evil day. That attack is against you, your soul. That's the difference. That's your soul attacked. But You still got to teach your children weapons of war. You know, some of y'all be like, I ain't gonna never teach my son how to use a weapon. You better teach him how to defend himself, how to defend the nation, how to defend himself. Now listen, I ain't talking about y'all who ain't born again of the water, Ruach HaKodesh, think y'all can go get guns and defend yourself against this wicked nation. While you got an opportunity, you need to be teaching your children how to use these things. Right? Right? You need to be teaching your children how to handle these things. Because there may come a time when they need to defend themselves. They may need to defend their families. They may need to defend their house. Right? You know, there's a lot of, more recently. Right? And I know some of you ain't going to like this conversation, but it's okay. There's more recently been a lot of black-owned gun clubs. You know, where, you know, Bruce can go and learn how to shoot firearms. You know, sisters can learn how to learn how firearms operates, get their permits to carry, right, and learn how to shoot. You know, yeah. Right? Now before, you know, there used to be gun clubs that, you know, you wasn't like going up in their gun clubs. Oh, no. They ain't give the Negroes guns and bringing them in and having them teach. But, you know, the thing is that things have gotten to the place where, you know, they're like, okay, well, you know, it's about the dollar. You know, you can make money. You know, we got a lot of black people who want to buy guns. So what they were doing was taking the guns and dumping them in our community, right? They were giving guns to the people in our community. So they can be better drug dealers, right? So they can use them against us, right? Right? Yahudah was never to use a weapon against his brother, but you know, because of sin, they did. The whole kingdom, northern, went to war against the southern kingdom, right? 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 9 of the tribes went against Yahudah, Benjamin, and Levi. And it was mostly Yahudah. And Yahudah emerged. Listen, teach your children the use of the bow and weapons of war. I don't believe in having my kids have guns. All right, well, you know, do what you want to do. You know, you teach them how to use a bow and arrow. Teach them how to better teach them something. Teach them how to defend itself. Like, you know, I'm convinced that, you know, we've been so dumbed down that we have come to rely on a nation that does not care about us. We have relied on a nation that has literally used us, right, to preserve themselves. I ain't talking about everybody in this nation. I'm not talking about everybody in this nation. But those who have power, they have an agenda. You know, they got a real agenda. Right? Their agenda has always been to keep you subjugated. Right? Right? See, Yahudah, you know, we at a disadvantage because we're in the lands of our captivity. But we're only at a disadvantage, right, outside of the witness. Because I'm born again in the water, Ruach HaKodesh, I'm not at a disadvantage. Because at any given time, I know that Yahuwah, by the Ruach HaKodesh in me, will give me what I need to slay giants. I know you will give me whatever I need to slay a giant. I know Yahuwah has already given me authority. He's given me keys in the Shamayim to operate. Because whatever I operate in the Shamayim, by using my authority, he will honor. Because I keep Torah. Because I'm his. I'm like Yahushua Mashiach in the Eretz. Right? Right? I am an example of his righteousness. I am his weapon of war. Yahushua was so, you know, he was peaceful and, You know, yeah, he was Fabio. No, that's Jesus. That's the Catamite looking earth pig. I know some of y'all gonna be mad, but I don't care. That is not my Yahusha. Yahushua coming back, he gonna be on his horse, and he gonna wage such a warfare that the blood is gonna be to the bridle. Right. Right, his demonstration is gonna be vicious. Right. Teach your children the use of the bow. He says here in Genesis 49 and 8, Yahudah, thou art whom thy brethren shall praise. Right? Thy hands shall be on the necks of your enemies, and thy father's children are going to praise you. Yahudah is a lion's whelp. And from the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down, and he crouched as a lion, like an old lion. Who shall rouse him up? Hallelujah. We are at war. Who's going to rouse you up? Who's going to cause you to tread upon serpents and scorpions? What's going to cause you to get up and stand up in this place of righteousness as the children of Yahuah you were called to be? Right? From the prey, my son, thou hast gone up. He stooped down, he crouched like a lion, like an old lion. Who shall rouse him up? The scepter shall not depart from Yahudah, or a lawgiver from between his feet, until rest comes. And unto him shall the gathering of the people be. Scepter. The rulership. See, you know, we ended up in the lands of our captivity because we did not want to serve Yahuah. And then, you know, he sent Yahushua, and then we didn't want to turn to faith in the witness of Yahushua Mashiach. We wanted to continue in sin. But you know, that was the work of Hasatan, his bruising of the heel of Yahushua. You know, he put the spin on the Torah and the Bere'shiyth and created Christianity, Christian insanity, and got y'all worshiping Baal and the earth pig and Ashtaroth and all these other gods that are attached to Christianity, and you went in and took it headline and sinker, and it took you right into captivity. Got over into these lands and assimilated into the culture. Right? Wanted to be like them. You wanted the whole land, 50 acres and a mule. Land didn't even belong to them. They stole it. Stolen land. They always had this sense of entitlement. Like, you know, they have a right to come in. Right? And pilferage and rape and murder and steal. right they feel to do these things. Colonization is a right. It's capitalism. It's me conquering you. Right? But see, here's the problem with that. Especially when it comes to you starting to do more than you were instructed to do with the people that's his. Oh, and it's a problem. It's a problem. Because see, these people are turning through faith in Hamashiach Yahushua's witness, recognizing there are people that are called to keep a Torah, which is causing them to be roused up. Causing them to rouse up. See the scepter, man, the scepter. Yahuah is calling a righteous remnant to stand up and be a force to be reckoned with. Right? The battle begins in you understanding that your weapons are carnal. But you have to be established in this power, in this authority, this dominion, and exercise your righteous authority over the devils that send stuff. These devils, right? Right. You gotta be ready. You gotta know what you're dealing with, right? You gotta understand. Right, in order to be elevated to a defender of a land and a territory as a people. Right? You have to understand, right, that the enemy is assaulting, attacking, waging a warfare against you in your mind. In order to be effective, right, you have to get the mastery over your flesh. You got to get the mastery over Hasatan's attacks. You got to understand what your power is. You got to walk that demonstration out. You got to walk that demonstration out. Right. This computer, man. Devil is a lie. I know I'm irritating you, Hasatan. Yeah. I know I'm irritating you. Right? He says here, in Merriam-Webster, right? Definition for wiles, right? That are linked to imaginations. Right? Devious or cunning stratagems. Right? Employed in manipulating or persuading someone to do what one wants. Schemes. Trying to pull you into a place where you're doing what he wants you to do. Warfare. battles. Listen, right? His battles are not just subject to your conscious day-to-day life. His battles come in your dreams. He sows into your dreams, and you have to have authority to fight him even in your dreams. See, strategies. See, Hasatan's goal is to war with you constantly, causing you to become worn out because of all that he does to you, to pull you out of a place where you will move in belief of Torah and keep you from saying what Torah says that gives you the victory over him. See, who was the lion's whelp? When righteous Yahudah goes forth to war, one puts 1,000 to flight. When righteous Yahudah goes to war, right? When he raises up from the prey, when he's roused up, he puts 1,000 to flight. He puts 1,000 to flight. He puts 1,000 to flight. He puts 10,000 to flight. Right? Yahudah. The verb, to lure, to entice, an attempt to take your power, to allure or entice, right? He wants your power. No weapon formed against you prospers. Yashar'el and Yahudah, right? You are Yahuwah's weapons of war, right? And the Yahushua Mashiach's witness, he's giving you everything you need to succeed in this witness. A demonstration of power, right? Having the ability to exercise authority in the heavenlies. Let's go to you are to war. You are to fight. See, they don't want you to war. They don't want you to fight. See, this is the thing about Yashar'el and Yahudah. When they stand in righteousness, in the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach, in obedience to Torah, right? their hands are going to be on the necks of their enemies. They are going to move in a power of righteousness that comes with supernatural strengths and occurring events. See, because Yahuah fights for you, right? Yahuah fights for you. He fights for his people that are called by his name, that humbles themselves and pray, that seeks his face, that turn from their wicked ways. Right? Because then and only then he forgives their sins. And then he heals their lands. He heals their lands. Right? Let's look at Psalms. Right? Yahudah's a lion's whelp. Right? Yahudah's the lion's whelp. Psalms 56. I think it's Psalms 56 that I want. Yeah, Psalms 56. Right? David was anointed, right, king over Yashar'el. And he trusted in Yahuah. He believed what Yahuah said. His demonstration was exhibited with the bear and the lion. Demonstration was exhibited when he slew Goliath. His demonstration was every victory that he won as a result of his ruach power, obedience, faith, and Torah. So much so that they sung a song that Saul killed his thousands and David his 10,000. Righteousness as opposed to wickedness and evil. Right. David. To the chief musician upon Jehoiakim, Micham of David, when the Philistines took him in Gath, be merciful unto me, O Yahuwah, for men would swallow me up, and fighting daily oppresses me. My enemies would swallow me up, right? For they that fight against me, O thou most high. Right? What time, hold on. What time I am afraid, I will trust in thee. I in Yahuah, I will praise his word. In Yahuah, I will put my trust. Right? I will not fear what flesh can do unto me. For every day they wresteth my words. All their thoughts are against me for evil. Right? They gather themselves together. They hide themselves. They mark my steps when they wait for my soul. Right? Shall they escape by iniquity? In thine anger cast down thine people, O Yahuah. Right? Thou tellest my wanderings, put thou my tears in a bottle, are they not thy book? Right, now, let's see. Psalms 18 and 34. Actually, start at 31. For who is Yahuah save Yahuah? Or who is my rock save Yahuah? Adonai. Is it Adonai that girdeth me with strength and makes my way perfect? Right? He maketh my feet like hinds' feet, and he setteth me upon the high places. Right? He teaches my hands to war, so that a bow of steel is broken by my arms. Thou also hast given me the shield of thy salvation, and thy right hand hath withholden me up, and thy gentleness has made me great. Seeing this witness, right? Having been restored to a people that's his by our obedience to Torah and having received the witness, right? We can wage a good warfare. We don't fight alone. Because these nations, they rely on their weapons of destruction. They're weapons of mass destruction. Right? But they fail to realize that Yahuah has a people. The Yahuah has a people that he is going to protect and keep safe. A people that believe in the strength, the power, believes in the supernatural might that Yahuah gives to pull a bow, steel, and bend. Y'all don't hear me. He says here, right? Teach my hands to war, so that a bow of steel is broken by my arms. Not by might, nor by power, but by your spirit, by my spirit, says Yahuah. There's power, there's ability, there's strength teaching. There's personal dedication to an obedience and to a drive to win the war that Hasatan wages attacks against your person. There's a victory. But you gotta realize you're in the fray. You're in the heat of battle. Hasatan is going to amp things up. I had a call not too long ago from my aunt, right? My aunt. Easy, I call him Easy. Ezra. Ezra's like, I was feeling crazy. It's feeling like this weight on me, emotional weight on me. And he said, I thought it's this one thing, but when that thing was not a problem, I knew it wasn't a problem, then, I would maybe attach that to that thing. And it's like, but now, it's not that. I'm trying to figure out what it is, but it's like a weight. I said, you're afraid. You gotta understand that Hasatan is going to attack your soul. Demons and devils are going to try to impose their will upon your soul. They're going to try to make you feel something that's not real. These are strategies. Right? Going to try to make you believe in something that's not real. Right? They want to convince you. Right? They're going to try to trick you. They're going to come up with schemes intended to ensnare you, to deceive you into thinking that, there's something wrong with you when there isn't. It is a demonic, devilish attack, and you got to wage warfare. You're in the fray. Hasatan is going to try to lure you. Right. But, you got power. Got everything you need to get the job done. Do you believe in the word? Speak a Torah. Whosoever shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed and be thou cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, but believe what things he say shall come to pass, he shall have what he say. You in the fray, speak a Torah. Right? It's the Hasatan attacking your soul. He just wants to pull you off your game. He's devious. He's cunning. His strategies. He employs manipulation. Persuading someone to do and to move and to act the way they want, the way he wants them to. You at war. But in order to be able to wield the swords or the weapons of war, you have to understand that first and foremost, the battle, the weapon of your warfare are not carnal first, because they're spiritual, because the attack is on you. You got to be ready to wage a warfare. When Dawid was talking about his enemies, he was talking about literal enemies. He was talking about people. He was talking about people coming after him, right? But there were attacks and physical things that Dawid had to endure, that he had to fight, that he had to press his way through. He had to talk. He had to write songs. He had to declare a Torah. Hasatan's got wiles, strategies, tools, mechanisms. It's got demons and devils with specific missions to target you because they're familiar with what was working in the past. That's why you got to go from faith to faith. You got to move from victory to victory. You got to be established in the Torah. You got to know that you got power to tell Hasatan, shut up. Get out of here, demon. Get out of here, devil. Oh, yeah, he wants to make you feel a certain way. He wants to trick. You got to win. You got to fight to win. You know, when you're exercising, right? You're physically exercising, right? I mean, I used to be like a madman in the gym. I mean, and as you can see, I'm not that way no more. I ain't mad though. Now, of course, I can be in better shape. Absolutely. You know, I still ride my bike. I do my 18, 20 miles a day. It's hot out there now. But I do it. You know, I still, I get out in the yard and I do my work. You know, I get busy. Right? But I was mad about that. Discipline. Mad about getting out there. You know, I gotta get this in. I gotta do this and I gotta do this and I gotta do this and I gotta do this. Right. That same intensity should be applied to your warfare. See, you know, we can see the tangible results. You know, when you're hitting the gym and you're running, you're dropping 10, 15, 20 pounds and starting to look good, you can see the physical change, right? See, when you're engaged in spiritual warfare, Hasatan sees the change. Like, demons and devils recognize that you are spiritually conditioned. Right? They see and they know the things that are going to be successful and what aren't. They know how quickly you're going to change, how you're going to bring thoughts to this. There's times, right? I be sleep. Right? I be straight sleeping. And I start to throw something in my dreams. And in my dreams, I be like, no, get out of here. No. I wake up. No, you ain't getting me in my dreams. You ain't luring me. Like, you ain't sending no incubuses and no devil. You ain't gonna influence my thoughts. No. I got power over you. No. In the name of Yashar'el. I got power, authority. I exercise it over demons and devils. I don't give them leeway. I stay prepared because I may have to grab the weapon of war. Yeah, I got them all over the house. I got them all over the house. Where's that Glock at? Oh, that Glock up there. I got that. Right? I got the combined weapon of war. Right? I know how to use it. Right? I got the weapons of war. I got one to convert. Right? Weapon of war. Right? Teach your children to use the bow and the weapon of war
shofar. What? Blow the shofar. We at war. Blow the shofar. We're at war. We at war. We at war. You have to understand that Hasatan is relentless. If you're not prepared spiritually, and being prepared spiritually, I mean being his. Being born again, the water of Ruach HaKodesh. Being established in his witness. Serving Yahuah through faith in Yahushua. If you ain't that guy or that gal, you're going to lose. You're going to be defeated. But if you're that man, that woman, that Akoti, that Aki, that have identified, right, that has the understanding of, right, that understand, come on here, that understands, right, though we walk in the flesh, we do not war against the flesh. Right? 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 For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they're mighty through Yahudah to the pulling down of strongholds. You have to understand the context of this discussion. You got to understand that he's talking about the battles of the mind. The relentlessness of Hasatan, who's going to bombard you. I prayed with my Ak, but I told him he's going to have to speak a Torah. He's going to have to identify when these things happen, and he's going to have to speak a Torah. He's going to have to do like Yahushua Mashiach did in Matthew, the 4th chapter, right? He's going to have to do what Yahushua Mashiach did in Matthew, the 4th chapter. Now, you know, the principle of what he did applies, right? He had the powers of hell, right? Literally come to him and say to him, eat bread. Literally take stones and make them bread, right? He had him literally on top of the pinnacle of a temple and told him to throw himself off the sides, right? And that Yahuah would send his angels to bear him up. Quoted the scripture. Half quoted it, right? He said, you don't tempt Yahuah, right? And then he took him to the highest place and he says, listen, all this that you see, I'll give you if you just bow down and worship me, right? He told us, listen, get heads, right? I'm serving Yahuah and Yahuah only. Get out of here, I will not entertain your foolishness, your wicked, vain imaginations. You cannot use your wiles or your cunning against me because I know who I am. I am the Son of Yahuah, the Torah made flesh. I know who I am. I am a son of Yahuah through the blood atonement that I've received in Hamashiach Yahusha. I have been given his Ruach HaKodesh. I know who I am. Therefore, I understand the nature of the battle. I understand the nature of the warfare. Right? This warfare requires casting down imaginations. Right? But see, you have to have your power, your exousia and your dynamos at work within you in order to ever be able to physically, right, be the representation to protect the nation of Yashar'el. See, we fight for Yashar'el. We don't fight for Jersey. We do not fight for Ashkenaz. We fight for Yashar'el. We don't go to war with these nations, for these nations. The gig is up. The gig is up. Right? The gig is up. This is not your home. Your home is in sub-Saharan Africa. The gig is up. It's not your home. You can stay here in the United States of America. I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you whatsoever. You stay. You know. You can live through that. Well, I take that back. I ain't sure you're going to live through that. 9 times out of 10, you ain't going to live through that. But, you can go home. You can farm home. You can invest home. You can build business home. Everything that you want to do in this wicked nation that they don't want you to do, that they want to stop you and limit you from doing, you can do that. You in the fray. We at war. We are at war. We are in the fray. Right? By Yashar'el and Yahudah. Yahudah. Right? Right? Yahudah. From the prey. From thy son, my son, thou hast gone up. Right from the prey. He says here. He says, Yahudah, thou art whom thy brothers thy praise, thine hands in the neck of thine enemies. Thy hands in the neck of thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Yahudah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou hast gone up. He stooped down and crouched as a lion. And as an old lion, who will rouse him up? Yahudah is roused. 12 tribes aroused. They have roused up the lion. We are in the fray. Right? We have to stand. Right? Lastly, back to Ephesians. Right? Finally, my brother, be strong in Yahuah and the power, the exousia, and the dynamos of his might. Right? Put on the whole armor that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of Hasatan, the trickery, the schemes, the devices of Hasatan. Right? See, because you had to get this battle. You got to be rooted in this battle. You got to get the mastery over principalities and powers and rulers of darkness of this world against spiritual wickednesses in high places. You got to do this, right? Right? And then not only that, right? Where is it? Matthew 16 and 19. I will give you the keys to the kingdom. And whatsoever thou shalt bind, executing power and authority on the earth shall be bound in the Shamaim, in the heavens where you is. Right? And whatsoever you loose shall be loosed in the heavens. Hear the word of Yahuah, man of Yah, woman of Yah. Hear the word of Yahuah, man of Yah, woman of Yah. Hear the word of Yahuah, man of Yah, woman of Yah. We are at war. In the fray. The warfare is not carnal. It's mighty through Yahuah to the pulling down of strongholds. You must master this like you master everything else. You must learn to operate in this like you operate in those things that you find so much passion in. You must move in this victory. And then and only then will you be fit to fight. Because the day is going to come when there is going to be a fight. But you'll know that what Yahuah has for you to do. Right? And you'll be ready, right, to come up from the prey. You'll be ready because you're going to be roused up. You're going to be ready because you understand, right? Because you understand what it is to fight and have victory. Right? Man of Yah, woman of Yah. Hear the word of Yahuah. Right? The song is entitled We at War. Again, this is a creation from the Torah of Truth with the assistance of artificial intelligence. But it's good. We at war. Abba Yahuah, I give you praise. I thank you for the victory overcoming the world, even our faith. I thank you, you've told us that we would chase 1,000. Abba, I pray right now in the name of Yashar'el that the people would be strengthened in this Torah, Besorah, and quickened. Abba, that they would recognize that there is a warfare, but we win it in this way. The words of my mouth, Abba, the meditation of my heart, be acceptable in thy sight. You are our strength and my redeemer.
Boots hit the ground, chains broke centuries deep, yet the echo still resound. The weapons lining carnal, they divine artillery. Face shields me up, cutting schemes from the enemy. Power in my steps, shadow demons been shook. Scriptures, the ammo, life lessons, the hook. Warring for the weak, strength born in reflection. Resurface the
Man of Yah, woman of Yah. With that, I'm going to say shalom, 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 shalom. Again, it's entitled, We at War. Man of Yah, woman of Yah. Shalom, shalom, and be blessed.
Torah Garden, speaking the absolute truth. Torah Nation.